Hey guys, this is going to be a review on the Magpul BAD Lever. Here it is, and I'm going to review it in a way that has an unpopular opinion about this. I think that most reviewers that I've seen that talk about the BAD Lever review it in a positive light. I'm probably going to be one of the first people to review it in a negative light. I have three kind of points that I want to make about this. They're all kind of nitpicky, so there's going to be people that are going to be like, you're being too harsh on it, you're nitpicking too much. But I think that all of them alone are a good enough reason for me to say I don't like these things. But together, to me, it just doesn't make any sense to have one. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to explain what a bolt catch is. This is a mil-spec bolt catch right here. Looks like this. And this is an AR-15 lower, and it pops in like so. Okay. The hole right there aligns with the hole on the lower right there. And then you put a pin in there, and prior to popping it in, you put a spring right there that forces the lower portion of the bolt catch to be pushed out away from the firearm. And the pin holds it in place, and that should be down so that the bolt cycles freely. Okay, when you have a magazine in, the tension of the spring on the bottom forces the bolt catch to go up when it's empty, and it overpowers the spring that you put in there because it's a much larger spring, much more tension. So now an empty mag can be released. The bolt holds the bolt catch up under tension because the bolt catch is being forced forward by the buffer tube spring. So now that there's tension on there, when you remove the empty mag, it stays up and the bolt stays back. You put the new mag in, and then you press that button right there, which forces the bolt catch down, and the buffer tube spring forces the bolt forward. And now you have an operational firearm again. It strips the new round. You're good to go. That is how a bolt catch operates in a nutshell. There's more nuances to it, but this is basically it. Okay, there are other upgrades that you can get to this, like bigger faces here. There's like a maritime one that's about that big, which means you can operate it with your thumb a lot easier. Feels a lot better. I don't think that upgrading this is bad. It definitely is just however you want to do it. But I think that upgrading this in a way that changes the manual of arms is bad, and I'll explain why. The very first thing that I want to say about this is that this is kind of my nitpicky 2A argument. I think most people that are into Second Amendment stuff that have firearms for whatever reason you have at least thought about SHTF situations where, hey, this is my apocalypse rifle, or this is, my in case of emergency rifle. And I think having a basic manual of arms for that kind of rifle is very good, because if you lose it and had to acquire another one, you're not going to be able to acquire all the same parts. So having parts that function the same way keeps the manual of arms at the front of your mind so that you're not having to relearn things on the fly. Let's take this as example. You've got your lower, you've got a charging handle back here. They pretty much all function this way. You wrap your fingers around the charging handle, you pull back, charging handle works. Let's say you decided you wanted to get one of those charging handles that attaches to the side of the bolt and you charge it up here, and you lose this rifle. Suddenly, now you can only find charging handles back here. Your first thought when you go to charge the weapon is going to be to take your hand off the grip and go up here, and you're going to be like, oh, it's not there. Oh, that's right, it's back here. So that momentary lapse in a dangerous situation when you don't have options is going to be enough that it might cause you problems. So having the basic manual of arms for the most common AR-15 on the market, which would be the standard mil-spec bolt catch, is probably the best idea. So let's talk about the BAD lever. Here's the BAD lever. Here's the bolt catch. You can see that the texture is there, and it just installs like that. Okay, and once it's in there, you take this base plate like that, and you just slide it right over the back, and that encapsulates the bolt catch. And then you take a screw, and you pop it in the front here, and we're going to talk about this screw in a second, because this is not the screw that the BAD lever came with. And this leads into reason number 2. I think you shouldn't get one of these things. Okay, I'm just hand tightening it, which might be the reason for the wobble there, but I also think that this is meant for a slightly bigger bolt catch. So even though this is mil-spec and it should work exactly on this device, there's wobble. I don't think tightening it anymore would actually even fix that. I think if I put as much pressure as I can on there, still has wobble. But this is how the bolt catch works now with the bad lever installed. So bad lever is installed. It extends this portion right here down into the trigger well. It operates in the same way where if this is up, pressing on the front depresses it. And to do that from the other side now, you have this lever, that would be pressing down on it, would force it down, like so. See? Pressing up will force the bolt catch to go up, catching the bolt back if you need to preemptively do that. But what it does is it just gives it ambi controls from the other side. So there's your ambi control device. I said I'd talk about the screw. This is a replacement screw. The original screw that it came with broke. This is not my bad lever, it's a friend's. He had it installed on his firearm. He used it for a few months. The screw broke. He put a replacement screw in. He took it off his main firearm because he decided he didn't like it, and he put it onto a second one that he was building, used it for a while, and then decided that it still did not function the way he wanted, and he took it off. I don't like these. I already knew I didn't like these, but I asked him if I could have it so I could shoot a review video on it. If I can save one person from buying one of these, I think that I am doing a good deed. So there's that. So the manual of arms, the fact that it broke. Let's say you were in a self-defense incident and it broke right in the middle of your self-defense incident. Let's say you even were used to using this portion and not fiddling with the added benefit of the right side of the firearm. If this breaks and this piece comes off, it could wedge itself behind the thing and then you can't even depress it and then your bolt is stuck back. I think this is bad. Okay, the third thing that I'm a little nitpicky about, and this is going to sound probably the most callous, so I apologize in advance. I'm not trying to be exclusionary. I really am trying to get as many people into the world of firearms as possible. The reason you would want one of these things, except for ease of function on the left or the right side of the firearm, is if you're a left-handed shooter and you want ambidextrous controls on a stock mil-spec frame. Okay, some frames come with controls on the other side. This doesn't. The bad lever adds it. Now you have a bolt catch on the other side. What do I think about left-handed shooters with the AR-15? I think that left-handed shooters should learn to shoot right-handed with an AR-15. Here's why. I don't think that rifles are affected as much from shooting with your offhand as, say, a pistol. And here's why. Trigger control on a pistol is very important. You need to not pull to the left, not pull to the right. You need to push back flat. And on a rifle, that's less important. You've got multiple points of contact preventing you from moving the rifle just because your trigger pull goes a little bit wonky. So if you have it braced on your shoulder and you've got your hand up here, this trigger pull, no matter how sloppy it is still going to be pretty good. You're not going to have an issue. Right-handed shooters kind of have a disadvantage when it comes to rifles because they are aiming with their left hand. Their left hand goes out on the front of the handguard, and you kind of control everything up there. You're aiming like this. If you have a light or a laser, your left hand is manipulating all of those things. So a left-handed shooter is going to hold the gun back here with the pistol grip with their right hand, and then they'll have full use of control of their left hand for aiming and functioning all of the complicated controls that they've put on the front of the gun. With pistols, I have the same kind of opinion, less so. I understand that trigger control is massive, so I'm not out here saying you should be a right-handed shooter as a left-handed person. What I'm saying is you should give it a try. I have a friend who is left-handed, and when he shoots, he does pretty well at about 15 yards. He'll have groups like this. But when he shoots right-handed and I kind of work through how to do it, his groups shrink by about 100%. They go down from 4 inches down to inch and a half-ish. So I don't think that everybody is going to be able to do that. Some people are going to be so in the mindset that their left hand has to be their dominant hand that they're going to struggle with that kind of thing. But I think everybody should give it a try, just the same as I think right-handed shooters should practice with their left hand from time to time, because your hand could be injured and you might only be able to shoot with your left hand. But you should give it a try. You should understand what your capabilities with both hands are. And if it turns out that you're a left-handed, left-eye dominant person that shoots better with their right hand, then you should just practice with your right hand, because firearms are typically made for right-handed users, and you'll have a more enjoyable, pleasurable experience learning to shoot that firearm. I don't want to be exclusionary, like I said. So if left-handedness is what works for you, and you like shooting left-handed, then go ahead and keep doing that. But I don't think this is the answer. Specifically for rifles, I think that because you're using it with your right hand and your left hand functions all the controls up here, now you can function the controls back here with your left hand, and the only thing you have to worry about is the trigger control, which isn't going to affect the aim of the rifle at all. Then I don't think that's a big deal. I'm a left-eye dominant person, and people have told me since the beginning of shooting that I should shoot left-handed because my left eye will go up here where the optic is, and I'll have better aim. I have found that that is just not the case. The controls are much easier, and when I shoot with my right eye, I still do just as good. So even if you're a left eye dominant person, I don't think this is going to help you. I think that just learning it the way it was kind of meant to be used is the proper way. I think that having no failure point on the device that has pretty much never failed. These mil-spec bolt catches are very durable. I've never seen one break. This broke within months of my friend purchasing it. So yeah, that's kind of my, I guess, bad take on the Bad Lever. If you have any questions or comments, or if you have a different experience with the Bad Lever, I'd love to hear it. I think there's a lot of extra information that I left out, such as things like clothing or slings snagging on this side that now have an option to do so. Seat belts, if you're in a car, could snag on that. That would be bad. So I think that this is just not great. But if you have another experience with it, if you have positive experiences with it, let me know in the comments. I will respond, have a pleasant conversation about it. And thanks for watching, guys.